Certainly, here is the speech titled, "My brothers and sisters, sometimes in life, the biggest burden we carry is not what's happening around us, but the people we refuse to let go of. We try so hard to please, to fix, to hold on to those who have already let go of us. We beg for attention, we wait for an apology, we lose sleep wondering what we did wrong. But the truth is, no matter how much you try, you cannot force hearts to be sincere. You cannot force someone to value you. You cannot change someone who doesn't want to change, but you can do one thing. You can focus on yourself, and that doesn't mean being selfish. It means taking responsibility for your own peace, your own growth, your own connection with the Almighty. There is a reason some people are removed from your life. It's not always a punishment. Sometimes it's protection. You asked for peace, but you held onto the storm. You asked for clarity, but you kept chasing confusion. Letting go is not defeat. It's wisdom, it's courage, it's trusting that the Almighty knows what He is doing in your life, even when you don't understand it. Let them go. If they left you without a reason, let them go. If they drained your energy, let them go. If they kept you in doubt, in pain, in sin, let them go. Stop reopening doors that the Almighty already closed for your protection. You're not losing them. You're finding yourself again, and what happens when you focus on yourself? You heal, you grow. You stop waiting for someone else to save you and realize you were never alone to begin with. The one who created you has never left you. He sees the nights you cried. He knows what was taken from you, and He promises, what is meant for you will come, and it will stay, but it will only arrive when you make space for it. My beloved brothers and sisters, don't let the noise of people distract you from the calm of your soul. Don't let those who walk away make you forget your worth. Don't tie your heart to people who are temporary when your journey is eternal. Focus on your heart, your actions, your faith, your purpose. When you focus on yourself, you stop seeking from the creation what only the Creator can give you. And remember, when you walk away from what breaks you, you walk toward what builds you. Let them go and let yourself grow. My brothers and sisters, one of the most important lessons you will ever learn in this life is this: you cannot control other people. You can only control yourself. And yet, how many of us live as though the opposite is true? We spend so much time and energy trying to fix others, change their behavior, convince them to understand us, love us, respect us, treat us better, as if somehow, if we just try hard enough, say the right words, or become someone we are not, we will be able to make someone else do what we wish they would. But life does not work like that. People have their own hearts, their own choices, their own minds, and their own tests from the Almighty. You are not responsible for how they act. You are not accountable for their words or their silence, their honesty or their betrayal, their loyalty or their absence. You are responsible for your reaction to it. If someone lies to you, your test is in how you respond. If someone hurts you, your test is not to hurt them back, but to maintain your dignity. If someone walks away, your test is whether you fall apart or turn to the one who never leaves. This life is not about controlling outcomes. It's about controlling yourself, and that is where true peace lies. The moment you stop trying to manage the hearts of others and start managing your own heart, a weight begins to lift, because you realize you were never meant to carry that burden. You are not the changer of hearts. You are not the writer of destinies. That is not your role. That belongs only to the one who created every soul. What you can control is how often you turn to Him. How sincere your intentions are, how clean your heart remains even after it's been wounded, how firm you stand when you're shaken, how you treat others when you're hurting, and whether you continue doing good even when no one is watching. You see, sometimes we think that being a good person means changing people, but the reality is, being a good person means you remain good even when people don't change. You don't allow someone else's darkness to blow out your light. You don't sink just because they refuse to swim. You keep your standards with or without applause. You do the right thing whether or not they see it, whether or not they appreciate it, whether or not they even stay in your life. And you do that not for them but for your own soul, because your character is not defined by how others treat you. It's defined by how you respond with patience, with wisdom, with trust in the Almighty. My beloved brothers and sisters, there's a whisper that often enters the heart when we are forced to let go of something or someone we once held dearly. That whisper says, "You've failed." It says, "You've lost," but that's not the truth. Letting go is not a sign of defeat. It is not weakness. It is not loss. Letting go is liberation. It is strength. It is courage. It is faith in action. Because letting go means you've understood that holding on too tightly to the wrong things can suffocate your soul. You've come to recognize that not every attachment is healthy, not every connection is written to stay, and not every bond is worth preserving at the cost of your peace and purpose. It takes real strength to loosen your grip on something that once felt like everything. You see, sometimes we don't let go because we believe if we just wait a little longer, things will fix themselves. That the pain will go away, that the person will change, that the situation will improve. So we wait, we hope, we carry the weight, even when it begins to crush us inside. But the longer we carry what was never meant to be carried, the more we exhaust our souls. And the most painful part is this: when we cling to what the Almighty is trying to remove from our lives, we block what He's trying to give us in its place. When your hands are closed, holding tight to disappointment, betrayal, or someone who left, how can you ever receive what's next? Letting go is not about giving up. It's about giving in, surrendering to the reality that the Almighty knows better. It's about saying, "I may not understand why this is happening, but I trust there is wisdom in it." It's not about becoming cold or careless, it's about becoming wise and careful with what you allow into your heart. You're not weak for letting go. In fact, it takes more courage to walk away from what hurts you than to stay and pretend you're okay. You're not abandoning love, you're making space for real love. Love that brings you closer to your Creator. Love that uplifts, purifies, and brings peace to your heart instead of confusion and wounds. Letting go also means you're choosing to stop repeating the same chapter, expecting the story to change. You're allowing your soul to breathe again. You're stepping out of the shadows of what was into the light of what could be. And do you know what happens when you finally let go? That constant noise in your head begins to quiet down. The ache in your chest begins to soften. The tears slow. And your heart, the same heart that was once so tired, begins to remember what peace feels like again. Letting go is not losing. It's choosing you again, your peace, your purpose, your connection with the one who never let go of you, even when you were holding tightly to everything else. My dear brothers and sisters, there are things in this world that money can buy: clothes, homes, cars, experiences, status. But there is one thing that cannot be bought, borrowed, or replaced, and that is your peace. Your peace is priceless. It is more valuable than any relationship, any opportunity, any attention you receive, or any material thing you own. Because once your peace is disturbed, once your soul is shaken, nothing around you will feel right, even if you appear to have it all. You could be in a beautiful place, surrounded by people, smiling in front of others, but if your heart is uneasy, if your mind is in chaos, if your soul is constantly battling thoughts, worries, and noise, you will feel as if you are empty inside. And that is why you must protect your peace like a treasure. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every conversation deserves your response. Not every person deserves access to your heart. Too often, we give people too much power over our emotions. We allow them to dictate our mood, our self-worth, our happiness. If they call, we're happy. If they ignore us, we collapse. If they approve, we feel valued. If they criticize, we doubt ourselves. But you were never created to be at the mercy of anyone else's behavior. Your peace does not belong in someone else's hands. It belongs with the one who created you, the one who is as Salam, the source of peace. When you begin to realize this, you stop giving people the pen to write your emotional story. You reclaim your peace. You stop begging for closure and start giving it to yourself. You stop needing everyone to understand you and instead seek to be understood by your Creator alone. Peace comes when you detach from what is temporary and root yourself in what is eternal. Peace comes when your actions match your values, when you stop trying to please people at the cost of disobeying the Almighty. Peace comes when you let go of what is outside of your control and focus only on what you are accountable for: your intentions, your responses, your choices, your faith. And sometimes protecting your peace means walking away. Not in anger, not in pride, but in self-respect, in trust, in knowing that peace is more important than having the last word. It is more important than being right. It is more important than holding onto something that is draining your soul day by day. Some of the most powerful things you'll ever do for your peace are silent. Choosing not to reply, choosing not to engage, choosing to forgive, choosing to let go, choosing to remain calm when everything around you is loud and restless. And understand this, my brothers and sisters, you were not created to live in constant stress. You were not created to be in emotional chaos. You were not created to feel worthless, lost, or endlessly broken. That is not who you are. The Almighty did not design the soul to survive in misery. He designed it to find peace through Him. So when you protect your peace, you're actually protecting your faith. You're guarding your heart, which is the most sacred vessel you carry. And the less you let the world invade your peace, the more room you create for light, clarity, and guidance to enter. My dear brothers and sisters, there is a moment in every person's life when the soul becomes tired, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Tired of being the one who always reaches out, tired of over-explaining, tired of justifying your worth, tired of being available for people who are not there for you. And in that moment, if you're honest with yourself, you begin to realize something profound. Healing does not come when they come back. Healing begins when you stop chasing. Chasing what? Chasing closure. Chasing attention. Chasing validation. Chasing a version of the past that no longer exists. Chasing people who made it clear through their silence, their actions, or their absence that they were never meant to walk with you in the next chapter. We chase because we believe that if we just try hard enough, they'll return. We tell ourselves, maybe if I say the right thing, maybe if I prove myself, maybe if I wait a little longer. But what we don't realize is that every step we take towards someone who's walking away is a step we're taking away from our own healing. You cannot heal when your heart is stretched between hope and heartbreak. You cannot move forward while your soul is stuck in reverse. Sometimes the people we're chasing are not rejecting us, they're redirecting us. Redirecting us to something better, to someone healthier, to a version of ourselves that no longer settles for crumbs when we deserve a table of dignity. You see, healing isn't loud. It doesn't always come with announcements or milestones. It begins in silence. In that quiet decision you make inside your chest when you finally say, enough. I'm not going to keep hurting myself trying to hold on to something that's already gone. Healing begins when you stop knocking on doors that were closed by the Almighty, when you stop trying to reopen what was shut for your protection, not your punishment. When you trust that the one who sees the full picture is not removing people or things from your life to harm you but to free you. And sometimes the one you've been chasing is not a person, it's a version of yourself that no longer exists. A past life, a fantasy, an image of perfection, the you before the pain, the you before the loss. And so healing also begins when you stop trying to become who you were, and instead accept who you are now with the scars, the lessons, the experience. Because your healing is not in chasing the past, it's in embracing the present. It's in saying, this is where I am right now, and I will grow from here, not from where I used to be. And most importantly, my brothers and sisters, healing begins when you stop chasing people and start chasing Allah, when you shift that energy inward and upward, when you stop running after creation and return to the Creator, when your heart stops asking, why didn't they love me, and starts whispering, Ya Allah, I know you never stopped. That's where the real healing begins, when your worth is no longer tied to who left, who stayed, or who changed, but rooted in the one who never leaves, never changes, and always answers. My dear brothers and sisters, there is something most people fear, yet it is one of the greatest gifts the Almighty gives you on your journey. Solitude. Not loneliness, but solitude. There's a difference. Loneliness is when the heart feels abandoned. Solitude is when the heart finds stillness. Loneliness is the absence of people. Solitude is the presence of peace. And sometimes, growth cannot happen in the noise. It only begins in the quiet. You see, we live in a world where we're constantly surrounded by people, distractions, conversations, notifications, expectations. And we begin to believe that if we are not constantly connected to others, we are somehow falling behind. That if we are alone, we are failing. But the truth is, some of the deepest growth you will ever experience happens in seasons when you are hidden, not celebrated, not understood, not surrounded, just you and your Lord. Think about a seed. When it is planted, where does it go? It goes beneath the soil, alone, in the dark, out of sight, silent, and yet, beneath that stillness, a transformation is taking place. Roots are forming. Strength is being built. The seed is preparing to break through the surface, but not before it has grown deep where no one can see. That is exactly what solitude does for the soul. When you are alone, you begin to see yourself clearly. You begin to face what you've been avoiding. You begin to reconnect with your purpose. You begin to seek answers not from people, but from your Creator, and that's when real growth begins. It doesn't happen when you're being applauded. It happens when you're in sujood at night, with no one watching. It happens when you're crying quietly, not because someone hurt you, but because you're returning to Allah. It happens when you choose to distance yourself from environments and habits that no longer feed your soul, even if it means sitting alone. Solitude teaches you discipline. It teaches you self-awareness. It teaches you to be content with the unseen, to trust that even if no one understands what you're doing, the one who sees your effort is enough. And sometimes the Almighty removes people from your life not to punish you, but to isolate you so you can be refined, redirected, and reconnected with Him. Because when the noise dies down, the ego softens. The wounds come to the surface, the heart begins to breathe again, and that's when your real questions begin to emerge. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I truly believe? What am I chasing and why? What does success really mean to me? These answers don't come from the crowd. They come in the quiet. Growth in solitude also means you begin to enjoy your own company, not in arrogance, but in contentment. You no longer seek someone else to fill the silence. You no longer beg to be understood or noticed. You realize that the less you depend on people to complete you, the more whole you become. And in that wholeness, your soul rises. It begins to prepare for greater responsibilities, greater purpose, greater peace. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger in silence. My beloved brothers and sisters, when something is taken from you, when someone walks away, when a door closes in your face, despite your best efforts to keep it open, the heart aches. It questions, it wonders why. It searches for meaning in the silence. It aches not just because of what was lost, but because of the space that loss left behind. But know this, and know it deeply. God never takes without giving. He never removes without replacing. The pain of letting go is real, but the promise of what comes after is even more real. The trial may be loud, but the wisdom behind it speaks softly. You must quiet the heart to hear it. You must be still enough to notice it, and you must trust enough to wait for it. Because the one who sees the tear before it falls, who hears the prayer before it's whispered, he knows exactly what was holding you back, even when you thought it was helping you forward. Sometimes we cling to what was never meant for us because we mistake comfort for purpose. We confuse familiarity with growth. We hold on to people, places, or plans that feel safe, not realizing that safety without spiritual alignment is simply stagnation. But the moment you let go, truly let go, not just physically, but from the depths of your heart, that is when the replacement begins, not always immediately, not always in the same form, but always with better. Better for your soul, better for your future, better for your connection with your Lord. Sometimes God doesn't give you what you want because what you want is too small, too temporary, too tied to the ego, too distant from your destiny. So He delays it or removes it altogether, not to punish you, but to protect you, not to deny you, but to deliver you into something far more meaningful. And here's the beauty: what you let go for the sake of Allah is never truly lost. If it's meant for you, it will return in a better form, and if it's not, it will be replaced with something far greater, even if it takes time for you to understand it. This is why letting go is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of something you haven't even imagined yet. But first, your hands must be empty, your heart must be ready, and your trust must be complete. There is a hadith that tells us when you give up something for the sake of Allah, He replaces it with something better. This is not just a motivational phrase, it is a divine principle, it is a law of the unseen, a transaction between you and your Lord that always works in your favor when it's done with sincerity, but the replacement is not always visible. Sometimes it's in the peace that enters your heart after years of chaos. Sometimes it's in the people you meet later, those who honor what others discarded. Sometimes it's in the doors that open when you finally stop banging on the wrong ones. You may not understand the reason in the moment, but trust that your Lord never acts without wisdom. You may grieve what you lost, but what is written for you cannot miss you, and what missed you was never written to stay. So, when you let go knowing that you're not falling into emptiness, you're falling into His plan. You're walking away from what your ego wanted, toward what your soul truly needs, and the one who sees that sacrifice will never leave your hands empty.